We'll call the BZA to order tonight for Wednesday, December the 15th. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. While we wait for our staff to bring in our sign-in sheet, I'll give a brief explanation of what's going to happen tonight. The sequence of events will be as follows. We'll hear the appeal first, then other business of the board will follow after the hearing of the appeals. You're welcome to stay for the entire meeting, but you don't have to if you don't want to. All who speak or testify before the board will be sworn in. This may be done by either a group or as individually. Anyone addressing the board is requested to use the speaker stand. Each person is then asked to give their name and address for the record. Our meetings are recorded, so anyone testifying may be cross-examined by an attorney. All documents, photographs, and other evidence presented for each case may be accepted by the board. The chairman will rule whether the additional items being offered will be accepted or rejected. The person presenting each case may also withdraw that document. The zoning administrator or staff will present a brief summary or statement of each appeal. Once the BZA staff presentation is complete, the appellant will then have the opportunity to speak or present their case. Following the presentation, the chairman will ask if anyone is in favor or in opposition of the appeal, and then we'll ask them to speak. In some instances, we may limit a time. I don't see that being an issue this evening. Next, the board will then make a motion to close the public portion. The individual board members will then ask questions of anyone that spoke or testified. They will then, following that, we'll make a decision as to whether you're going to be approved or denied. Finally, just keep things calm and cool. We're not going to get mad tonight, but if you are disruptive, we'll ask you to leave. Thank you for your time. So we will then do a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol.
Here.
Mr. Hill. Ms. Owens.
Here.
Mr. Shupp.
Here.
Mr. Roberto.
Present. And notice an absent Mr. Hill. We would call our alternate to the board tonight.
Mr. Siddell.
While he's making his way here, we'll make use of our time. So we're going to swear in all those who are going to speak tonight. So if you're going to speak before the board tonight, if you please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that you tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth before the Board of Zoning Appeals? Say I do.
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. So our first case this evening would be BZA 2021-11. This is a request for a variance of minimal lot area and lot width of a corner lot in a residential district. The location of the property is at 11599 East Miami River Road. The owner and applicant is Scott Huber with Abercrombie and Associates in Southwestern Ohio Water Company. Does the staff have a presentation?
We do.
Thank you.
As you stated, the case we're talking about tonight is BZA 2021-11. Is a request for variance to minimum lot area and minimum lot width, located at 11599 East Miami River Road. And Mr. Huber with Abercrombie and Associates is representing the property owner, Southwestern Ohio Water Company. Located almost right in the northern tip of the township here. This is a screen grab from Cages. This is the parcel we're talking about right here. You can see it's bordered along the eastern and southern line by East Miami River Road. It is zoned R2, residential 2. It almost touches, but doesn't quite touch that sort of B3 area we have up there from the former P&G site. And then, again, close to, but still not touching the riverfront, down where the Heritage Park is and all that area over there. Currently, the parcel, it's approximately 4.34 acres as it sits right now. This is the proposed lot split presented given to our department by Mr. Huber. It'd be taken from one parcel to two. This is showing both parcels there. The red area is basically what brings us here tonight, the lot that's outlined in red. It is proposed at 1.5001 acres. Of that, 0.4 acres is right-of-way, which gives us a net area of 1.1001 acres. And that is what we will actually consider as our lot area for the case tonight, is the 1.1001. I'm not sure why that's flickering, I apologize. The applicable zone ordinances that we're dealing with tonight deal with what are called corner lots. So the first thing we'll establish is whether or not this is actually a corner lot per our ordinance, and then, and I believe it is, we'll see that these two ordinances do apply to it, and these will be the two ordinances of which we're requesting a variance of or from. So of that, Article 12 is our general development standards section. We get into sort of section 1 is lot measurements and requirements, and of that, the subsection 5 deals explicitly with corner lots. In Part D and Part E state respectively, all corner lots created after the effective date of this resolution shall have a minimum lot area that shall not be less than 150% of the minimum lot area requirement of the applicable zoning district. And then Part E would read, the minimum required lot width of a corner lot in an R2, R3, R4, and so on district shall be increased by an amount equal to the depth of the required rear yard setback of the applicable zone district. This is the entirety of section 12.1.5. There are 5 elements to it. We'll go over each one. Each one sort of does kind of kick in and apply here, and we'll cover each of those as we go through this. So the first order of business will be established, is this a corner lot or not? These are the reasons I believe it is, and we'll see from there what we believe. So in our zoning ordinance, under Chapter 16, for a corner lot, the definition shall mean a lot abutting upon 2 or more streets at their intersection or upon 2 parts of the same street, and in either case, forming an interior angle of less than 135 degrees. You'll have to forgive me, I was not a graphic design nor a math major, so bear with me as we go through this. Luckily, 135 is pretty nice. It's 90 degrees plus 45. So take a 180 line, split it by 90, split one of the 90s by 45. We have roughly the area we need, which would be the area indicated by that larger overarching arrow from one solid red line on the bottom to the other solid red line, sort of reach up to 45-degree angle. Using this beautiful thing, I sort of superimposed that over the proposed lot we had and part of the survey that we were given. So you can see anything, as I interpreted, anything that would be less than the, anywhere located in that larger blue arrow, anything that would be less than that angle would have an interior lot angle, interior angle of less than 135 degrees. And then with this, as you can see, sort of the black dotted line roughly follows what the lot line is supposed to be. Just took that back just to sort of rearrange so we had a little bit better view of that. And I believe, based on this, that the subject parcel does meet the definition of a corner lot. So based upon that, we'll kind of go forward with the minimum lot area of a corner lot. Again, in our definition in Article 16, lot area should mean the total area within the lot lines of a lot, excluding any street, right-of-way, or other legal public dedication. So basically what that's saying is we cannot count this 0.4 of an acre right here. That's been designated and shown to be right-of-way. So with that, for a parcel in the R2 district, the minimum lot area is 1 acre. Per Section D, it's 150% added to that, which again, I'm not a math major, but some of these numbers were pretty nice and easy. That should be 150% or 1.5 acres. Given that the proposed net area, so any part not to exclude that right of way, is 1.1001, we're asking for a variance of 0.3999 of an acre, which seems pretty reasonable. So, furthermore, so with that, I do believe it is a corner lot subject to the requirements of 12.1.5 D And that, again, the requirement would be 0.99 of an acre, and that is what we're requesting here from the board, would be a variance of the 0.3999 of an acre to permit the creation of a new lot. Moving on to the next part, Part E states, right here, the minimum required lot width of a corner lot in an R2, 3, 4, so on, district shall be increased by an amount equal to the depth of the required rear yard setback of the applicable zone district. Lot width, and then from our definitions, lot width shall mean the horizontal distance between side lot lines measured at the required front setback or at the building line of an irregularly shaped lot, and it references, in Article 16, it references Figure 16-2. Right here is, on the left would be Figure 16-2, lot types and measurements. That just sort of shows, these would be sort of somewhat typical corner lots on the left there, and then over on the right, that sort of pie shape would be a somewhat irregular corner lot. And then there's a figure located in 12-2 for corner lots that also kind of describes where our front yards are, our side yards, and our rear yards. It's an attempt to give a graphical representation to the somewhat convoluted description we have in 12.1.5. So again, going back to the survey here, this is roughly where we would be. The lot area would include any of the net buildable area. We'd have to apply our setback of the 50-foot building line, which is listed in the site development standards for R2. There's a 50-foot front yard setback. So it would be at this area in here. Those lines are trying to represent what would be the side and rear yard. So the minimum required lot width would be 210 feet around this blue line here. And then the best I could figure on the survey with some of the numbers given was that this blue line here is approximately 85.36 feet. Again, not being a math major, but I know one would probably be able to figure out using sine, cosine, what this distance here would be. But this is basically what we will use this 85.36. It's the hard numbers that I have. That is the basis of what I use to request a variance, because I know at least that amount will definitely cover whatever they need here for this lot. So as we get back to the minimum required lot width of a corner lot for in a district R2, 3, or 4, so on and so forth, it shall be increased by an amount equal to the depth of the required rear yard setback. So in an R2 area, R2 zone district, excuse me, if the lot does not have sewer, which I contacted the Hamilton County Health Department, or Health District, excuse me, and they, their TAP services told me this lot did not have that. So that's the information I'm operating on. If something's different, then I was not privy to it, and they were not either. So based on that, it is a lot without sewer, so it'd be 150 feet would be the minimum lot width. And the increase with the, per section E of 12.1.5 section E is the minimum lot width needs to be increased by the rear yard setback. In this case, that's 60 feet. Again, a lot without sewer in R2. So 150 plus 60 should equal 210 feet. So 210 feet would be what would normally be required for the lot width of a corner lot in an R2 district without sewer. So again, to sort of try down on this round to sort of summarize each ask. So because there's kind of a lot that we're dealing with on this one, I felt like. So the subject parcel is a corner lot, subject to the requirements of 12.15E. The minimum required lot width of a corner lot district shall be increased by an amount equal to the depth of the required rear yard setback in the applicable zone district. In this case, with this particular lot, that's 210 feet. So here we are requesting a variance from the Colerain Township Board of Zoning Appeals to the minimum lot width of the corner lot in an R2 district without sewer. We're requesting a variance of approximately 124.64 feet. That's a little bit over what we actually need. Again, not being the best math individual out there, or best math magician, as the joke likes to go. It would be roughly in that area. This will definitely cover it. I'm sure Mr. Huber, if he may or may not have that exact distance, or he may be able to figure out a little bit quicker or not. I won't put him on the spot, but if we need a more precise number, we could get it, but this will definitely get us where we need to go if the board sees fit. It's fairly close, given the numbers we're talking about as it is. Section 4.42 lays out the criteria for a variance. Again, the board shall not be authorized to grant a variance for a use that is otherwise prohibited in the zoning district in which the property is located. The board may authorize a variance when such variance will not be contrary to the public interest, where owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the resolution will result in unnecessary hardship, and so that the spirit of the resolution shall be observed and substantial justice done. The Board of Zoning Appeals may impose such conditions and restrictions upon the property benefited by a variance as the Board of Zoning Appeals may deem necessary to comply with the standards set forth in this section, to reduce or minimize the impact of such variance upon other property in the neighborhood, and to further the purpose and intent of this resolution. No granting of a variance shall be authorized unless the Board of Zoning Appeals finds that such variance from the provisions or requirements of this resolution will not be contrary to the public interest, and owing to special conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, the literal enforcement of the provisions or requirements of this resolution would cause unnecessary hardship. The Board of Zoning Appeals may attach thereto such conditions regarding the location, character, and other features of the proposed structure or use as it may deem necessary in the interest of the furtherance of the purposes of this resolutions and in the public interest. And no variance shall be considered or granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals which would allow a change in use of a parcel, building, or structure where such change of use could be accomplished by a redistricting of the subject property. It is staff's findings that the current use is an approved use in the zoning district in which the property is located, R2. As mentioned in the staff report, the building, it was constructed sometime in the 1800s, I believe. I know I was provided with a plat map, I think that had it on there like in 1840, so it's been around a little bit longer than planning and zoning. It has been in Colerain Township. The granting of the requested variances will not adversely impact the public health, safety, or welfare. Granting of the request for a variance of minimum lot area and/or minimum lot width will not adversely impact adjacent property owners. The Board of Zoning Appeals may attach thereto such conditions regarding location, character, and the features of the proposed structure or use as it may deem necessary in the interest of the furtherance of the purposes of the resolution and in the public interest. And I would say, due to the sanitary sewer service not being available at the subject parcel at this time, redistricting the property would not be possible and therefore would not alleviate the undue hardship that's proposed on this property, that exists on this property, pardon me. It is staff's recommendation. I don't know why it's flashing in and out like that. I apologize. For the approval of the requested variance with the following conditions, that approval from the Hamilton County Health Department Environmental Services be obtained for appropriate or alternate contingent septic leach field locations prior to lot split being approved by Colerain Township Planning and Zoning. The reason for this is it's my opinion that it would not be good to create a lot if there were no approvable alternate septic field sites on that lot. If the property owners were to change hands or something like that, that's my opinion on that one. That concludes my presentation.
I had one. So again, the minimum lot width, if it requires 210, and in your report it says, I guess we're looking for a 49-foot variance, is correct?
That part is, that was my bad. Yep, that was given the front distance we had on here, including the, here, pardon me, I'm sorry, let me not speak like that. Okay, this 138.43, that was asking that. I did not, and that was a miscalculation. I did not take into account, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Huber, but the 138.43, I believe, is separate from this 20 over here for the panhandle, or is that not right?
The total length of that line is 138 plus 20.
Oh, okay. So that was bad interpretation on my part.
Parcel A is 138, then that additional strip of property, which is actually on parcel B, that's 20 feet wide.
So the leftmost blue line, is that supposed to be 210 feet?
That is well, no.
No.
The second blue line over there is, I apologize, so this is where it gets a little murky in the definitions, where I sort of, in the staff report that I sent to you, in going through a little bit more, I kind of described was wrong in that, is the only way to say that. The usable lot area is where, or the building setback line, is where our definitions state we have to have our minimum lot width.
So it's the right blue line is the
Yes.
210.
And I do not have an exact distance of that.
Yeah.
It's not listed, and I'm sure we could calculate
But
it.
it's less than 210.
It is, yes. it
That's
is,
why
yes.
we're looking at it. Okay.
Yes. And then, trying to think here, I believe that 85.36, that is that distance right at the right-of-way there.
So the variance is for almost 100 feet or so, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other staff questions? I see none. Is the applicant present? Would like to make a presentation?
Yes, good evening. My name is Scott Huber. I'm a site civil engineer with Abercrombie & Associates, 8111 Cheviot Road, Suite 200, 45247. With me tonight is the Vice President of Southwestern Ohio Water Company, Mr. Mike Flavin. He'll be available for comments or questions if needed. So just to start off, I appreciate staff's detailed presentation. He gave a lot of good information about what the code requires and what the setup is. I kind of look at it at a little bit more of a higher elevation view of it, and I hope the commission tonight agrees with me. Really this is the stuff that we're talking about here as far as the frontage and building setbacks and all that. I mean, that's for the existing home that's been there since 1880. So it's not a home that we're building that we're requesting a variance for. I mean, right now in today's standards, that house doesn't meet the code right now without us doing anything. So I think it's important to note that the roadway has been in that configuration since the 1840s. The house has been there since the 1880s, and that's not our doing. So I'm hoping that it's obvious that the standard of that we have to meet is to be in a practical difficulty. I hope that's apparent here just in the history of the property. Our intention, or Mr. Flavin's intention, is to sell what we're showing as parcel A here. The reason we're doing this cut up is to sell this house that's there right now on parcel A and get that out of the ownership of the water company. And parcel B, the water company would like to retain that parcel in their name for any future water expansions that they might need or foresee in the future. So this isn't a development opportunity per se that maybe you're used to, as where somebody's coming in here and wants to cut up and sell lots. Really just the water company wants to split off the house that's been there from day one, and they want to retain their existing parcel B, or proposed parcel B, just to to have it for future water needs, water service and water main needs. And that's the reason there's also a 20-foot appendage on the west side of parcel A. There's an existing water main that's in the ground right now, and the water company wishes to retain rights in fee and not have easement rights over that, so they want to retain that strip of land, which really, I mean, it's not needed for frontage. It's it's not really a panhandle, even though it's 20 feet wide. We don't really need it for anything, but they wish to retain it just to not. They want to own that piece of property that has the water main underneath it, and not own it as an easement or have rights to it as an easement. So that's why we're doing what we want to do. And I want to point out that the parcel B really doesn't have any variances. It meets all the zoning requirements as far as the lot size and the lot width and things like that. Staff also pointed out the fact that the site does not have sewers available to it. That's a true statement. Mr. Flavin has engaged a soil scientist and also a septic designer to come up with a design for that home, and that has been submitted to the Board of Health. I can read this to you or whatever. I have a email from the Board of Health. There is a little bit of a conflict, I think, between what the Board of Health wants and what the condition is that staff has recommended, because it doesn't seem like somebody wants to go first with an approval. The Board of Health is saying they want the survey plat recorded prior to them issuing a formal approval. So I've gone as far as I can go with the Board of Health. He's looking for a recorded plat to finalize his approval, and the township wants to have approval from the Board of Health before they, sign off on the plat. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle here. I'm not real sure what the answer is going to be, but somebody is going to need to go first here and make a decision, or else we're not going to get anything done. But like I said, I do have one copy of a email here. I can either read it to you or submit it to staff, or however you want to do it. But I think we've gone as far as we can go to show that this site is able, parcel A is able to have an on-site system, and it's going to meet the Board of Health standards. And there's no development that was proposed for parcel B, so we didn't pursue that. So other than that, I think that's my presentation. I'd be open to any questions that the board might have. And as I said, Mr. Flavin is also here to answer any questions. Would you like to submit that document? Yes, I would. I only have one copy, if that's okay. This is an email that was addressed to me. It's from Greg Kasiri. He is the Supervisor, Division of Water Quality for the Hamilton County Public Health Department. The email is dated Tuesday, September 14th, 2021. Thanks, Scott. I have reviewed the proposal, and the lot with the existing home will meet our requirements. Our office did not review the lot that will remain vacant, and therefore there will be a note on our approval letter indicating the remaining lot has not been reviewed for development with a sewage system. I will need 2 hard copies of the final survey prior to issuing our formal approval. Thanks. And then he signs it, Greg Kasiri.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sorry, my microphone was off. I want to make a note that I'm accepting a document that's been provided to us that has the sewage treatment guidelines from the Hamilton County Public Health. All right. Anybody else who's speaking in favor? Anyone speaking in opposition? I see none. Can I have a motion to close public forum?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second been made. Any discussion? I see none. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol,
Yes.
Mr. Sado,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Shupp,
Yes.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. All right, we will start off with Mr. Sadil. Would you like to ask any questions this evening?
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Ms. Owens?
No questions.
Mr. Shupp?
Just, I wanted to get past this property, but I didn't have time. What's the topography like, Scott?
It's flat.
It's basically rolling, well, not even rolling fields. I mean, it's fairly flat. It falls to the west, gently to the west, but it's a fairly flat site with, there's a little bit of relief, from the east to the west, but it's not, I wouldn't call it steep by any means. To me, it's flat.
It's been farmland for years.
Yes. I do have a picture. I could submit that. This is looking right down the main property line. So it's kind of what it looks like today.
That's flat.
Yeah.
You want to submit that evidence?
Yes.
Make a note that we're receiving a photograph showing the topography from a street elevation. Mr. Shupp, you still on?
I'm finished.
Mr. Bartle?
Yeah, I was just curious, if parcel A is 0.4 acres too small, is there a reason why parcel B can't be decreased to delete that variance?
In our interpretation with dealing with the lot sizes, we interpreted that 1.5 acres to be a deeded area. And since this is not, the right-of-way is not dedicated in fee, it's a prescriptive right, his deeded property area is gonna be 1.5 acre. So we, in going back and forth with staff, before we got to this process, I think staff requested us to break that out into what the right-of-way area would be and what the net area would be. But since it's not actually dedicated right-of-way, his deeded acreage is gonna be 1.5 acres or 1.5001 acres. So in our opinion, we are meeting the uptick or the increase for a corner lot requirement.
Is that true, staff?
That is true. Part of that sort of was my fault in our initial discussion. Man, that's upsetting me. That keeps flickering on off. I did not know about the little kind of, I want to say, like asterisk of any part of the lot that was not right-of-way. That is right-of-way, does not count towards lot area. So when we first spoke, I said, this is what the minimum would be. And then after kind of digging through it, went back and told, that's why we sort of came back and said to add another request to the variance to include that Part D. So that is correct. That was sort of my bad on that part. I would ask at some point, if I'm allowed to ask a question, Mr. Huber, would you please let me know?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So you're basically saying what we're seeing here is a result of the applicant and you meeting, and then they came up with the two parcels?
We spoke on the phone first.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess that's all.
Okay. Staff have a question?
Yes, Mr. Huber, or Sir Mike, I didn't get your last name. Do you know where the septic field is located right now? And does Hamilton County, they require primary and secondary be designated?
Yes.
Do you know where both of those are right now?
Well, where they're gonna be.
Where
Yeah,
they're going to
our
be?
Designer had, can I? Point?
Whatever you, yep. If I could just, as he's walking up there, my big concern for putting that condition in there is this used to be a pool at one point, and it is gone, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as my understanding goes, and I'm not by any means an expert in the septic or health department, I do not believe that priorly disturbed ground is allowed to be used for a future leach field. Again, I'm a big fan of like property rights and sort of, do what you want. I just want to make sure we don't, if this were to be allowed in the future, we didn't create a problem for some, a future buyer. If there's a problem with the septic system, they have to put a new field or something like that.
Right.
That's my part for that recommendation and for that condition.
Okay.
So as I stated, Mr. Flavin has engaged soil scientists and septic designers to do the design and to meet the Board of Health requirements. And I do believe there are still flaggings that are out on site that flag this, flag the property, but generally the treatment area and the secondary area is gonna be in this area here. And if you were to drive out there today or tomorrow or whatever, you'll be able to see the site flags that are out on site that were set by the septic designer. So we feel that we've, met the, health department requirements. Health department has signed off, well, not, they didn't sign off on it, but they, basically verbally approve, what we've done, and they're just waiting for this plat to get recorded before they officially sign off on it.
Okay. Any other questions from staff? Any other questions from staff?
Oh, from staff. Pardon me, I thought you said for staff. No, sir. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
In this photo, you can see some of those flags that Mr. Huber was talking about. I was taking that recently.
Okay, perfect. It seems pretty straightforward to me because you can't move the house forward, you can't move the house back, and really the the depth behind the house is not being changed with the exception of the 20-foot. So I'm for it in my view, but before we make a recommendation, anybody have any else they would like to ask? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve both variances with the condition of the staff recommendation concerning the Hamilton County Health Department Environmental Services requirements.
Is that going to allow him to get the approval if he doesn't have the plot?
I believe we could work together to make that happen.
Okay.
If, you know, I can talk to them, and if they're, them being, I'm sorry, Hamilton County Health Department, Environmental Services, excuse me, if they're okay with it, maybe if we get the two locations designated on the survey, if you'd be okay with it, if the board would be okay with that. Like, again, I want to do this, I just want to make sure we don't create a future problem for somebody. It's just to make sure we can say, yeah, we did have approved septic
Do we need to
areas.
amend that to give him liberty to approve this outside of what we're
Well,
approving?
Can we just approve the variances regardless of the staff recommendations? Is that what you're?
You- More than, my recommendations are simply,
Yeah.
they're worth the money you guys pay for them, so.
Yeah, I would say,
Restated?
yes, please.
So I'll make a motion to, in lieu of the first motion, to make a motion to approve both variances as presented to the board this evening.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I see none. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol,
Yes.
Mr. Sado,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Shep,
Aye.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. You've been granted. Yes, sir. All right. Let me get my schedule somewhere in this pile of. I got an agenda, thank you. All right, so I see we have no unfinished business. We have 2 minutes that we need to approve this evening. We have the August the 25th of 2021. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from that date?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have we a second?
I'll second.
Motion second, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol,
Yes.
Mr. Sado,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Shep,
Aye.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. Second would be the meeting minutes from October the 27th. Do we have a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion's been made, and second?
Yes. I'll second it.
Okay. And no discussion. Roll call vote?
Mr. Bartol,
Yes.
Mr. Sado,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Shep,
Aye.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. Next meeting will be January the 26th, 2021. We have, excuse me, it says on here 2021.
Oh.
2022?
So I updated that, I apologize. It's
Oh, that's all right. I
blonde
do,
moment.
yes. One of those hairs is blonde, right?
Blonde somewhere in there, It's blonde, gray, something, I don't know.
Do we have, how many are we gonna have that evening? Just one case?
At the moment, we have 2 applicants.
Okay.
One is one the board has seen probably more times than you care to know, right up here on Springdale Road. And I forget what the other one is. And the other is one we haven't seen before, before a rear yard setback in a residential.
Okay. And do we have any administrator matters? The meeting dates. So we've been presented meeting dates for this evening. Can we have an approval of those, a motion to approve the meeting dates for next year?
I'll make the motion to approve the dates.
I'll second.
Motion second been made. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartol,
Yes.
Mr. Sado,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Shep,
Yes.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. With that, I see there's nothing else on our schedule. We will adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, motion made, second?
Second.
A second's been made. Roll call vote?
Mr. Bartol,
Yes.
Mr. Sado, Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Shep,
Aye.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. We are adjourned.